Good evening and welcome to the Monday, September 8, 2014 meeting of the Guilford Park and Rec Commission. Call the meeting to order at 6:32 p.m. First order of business before we get into public forum is I'm going to seek an agenda change, simply because I have a lot of people wishing to address the commission tonight, and we're going to handle the public forum, and I don't see the need, if anybody else has any objections, of having people get tortured through the standard business part of our meeting. So what I'm proposing that is right after public forum is done, we'll hear the Girl Scout proposal. Okay, so you know you're going to be up first after we go through public forum. Then Jim, we'll let you come up and talk a little bit about the Guilford Robotics Project. And I think with that, I'm going to combine item C, which is Guilford High School Science Ring, because that ties a little bit into what Jim may be talking to us about tonight, and I'll introduce that later on. And then we have somebody that wants to, Terry, address us on the senior program, and then we'll get into the regular agenda. So I'm going to open up with public forum. I know there's been a lot of discussion about beaches and dogs, so just remember, let me take out, do I need to take out my stopwatch, or can I trust everyone that they're going to limit their comments to two minutes? Don't make me be the bad guy on TV. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, distinguished members of the Commission, I'm Ed Meyer, 407 Mulberry Point Road, and I meet with you tonight to talk to you as your state senator, but also as a resident. It relates to the, as Rick and I have chatted about this, the ordinance here in Guilford that says that there be no dogs on the beach. And that has been an ordinance that we have not actually enforced on the beach at Indian Cove, which is a beach that several of my constituents have used and swum with their dogs, as Patty Ann and I, my wife and I, have also as well. And I can't quarrel with an ordinance. We can go to the Board of Selectmen to get a change, but I'd like to ask you to focus on whether or not the town really has jurisdiction over that beach, whether that is a town beach and not an association beach. And let me tell you why. When we bought our property, some years ago, we got a deed that was very much of an inducement to get this particular property on Mulberry Point, because it provided as follows. It described the property in which the house is located, and then it says, I'm quoting, "Together with a right in common with others to use for beach purposes property now or formerly of Kenneth Herlin," and it describes the beach on Daniel Street Beach. And we felt that because we've used it for so many years, we've had a Labrador who loves to swim 12 months a year. There are not a lot of people that use that beach. And we relied very much upon the deed that we got some years ago. I'm happy to give you a copy of this. Other residents tell me that they have a similar provision in their deeds with respect to the beach. And it made us think that it was an association beach and not a town beach. The town exercised, when we first got here in the early 2000s, the town did not exercise any control over the beach. And it was very much an association beach. And then something happened, and Rick and I discussed this briefly, we weren't sure exactly what happened, but something happened to change that. And the beach, the town assumed control, and then last week put up the sign, "No dogs." We'll obviously obey the sign, we'll obey the ordinance. But I'm just asking you, please, to look at this legally and find out whether or not this is in fact a beach over which you have jurisdiction and it's not an association beach in accordance with the deeds that many of us received.
Okay, thank you. And I don't know if we have any other people in the audience that wish to address the same issue. I see two more hands. Please stand up, address the camera, give us your name and address, please.
My name is Deborah Wolf, and I live at 138 Spencer Avenue here in Guilford, in Indian Cove. And I've lived there for 18 years and have brought my dogs to what we call the back beach in Indian Cove without any problems until very recently when a sign went up regarding not bringing dogs to the beach. My husband went online and found some information that the town has, and I just want to read it to you. It says, in terms of a designation of governing agency, for the purposes of this chapter, the term governing agency shall mean, and then it has several different agencies, but the last one is E, the Parks and Recreation Department, in matters involving all other town property, including public, non-school, playground, parks, and beaches. And then the next piece, it says prohibited acts. It shall be unlawful and in infraction of this chapter for any person within the boundaries of town properties, B, to bring or permit any animal on any beach or to bring any horse or pony onto town property unless a specific area for the purpose is designated by the governing agency. So it's, what I believe this is saying is that you are the governing agency over beaches that can authorize a specific use for this beach to be dog-friendly. So I'm asking that you do that.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Anyone else? Same issue, please. Name, address.
Where do I stand? Karen Anderson. I live in Indian Cove also. And just a couple of points, and I will be well within the 2 minutes. But, you know, other towns in Connecticut seem to manage this dog issue. Say Fairfield, they have a huge Lake Mohegan. I talked to the risk management officer in Fairfield last year and asked her how they manage it down there. All in the signage. So you don't like a dog, you don't go there between those hours. That's how they do it. You go to Provincetown, Massachusetts. They got tens of thousands of people coming in there in the summertime, right? They have a dog beach right in the center of town, and they're managing it. Same thing. You don't like dogs? You go to the beach next door. Now, personally, as I said, I live in Indian Cove. I've picked up bottles, cans, glass, all kinds of human waste products from that beach there. I would say on record, I would take responsibility for formulating a committee to police that beach if this is the issue, and take control of the maintenance of the beach, picking up garbage from people as well as dogs. Now, to me, this is a management issue. And I think the town of Guilford they don't like to manage things because it's easier to not manage. But what about, and I could be wrong about this, I was just at the Neck Road Beach. And when you enter there, where the red hut, everybody loves to paint it, artists and everything.
Grass Island.
Grass Island. So when you enter there, there's the signage that says dog owners need to be responsible for dog waste. I'm assuming that means that you can bring dogs onto that beach, if that's what that sign says, and I just saw it today. So that's a Guilford property, and it's a beach. So, I'm kind of confused about what, is a town and why it all has to be the same. And so, anyways, I would like that to be cleared up.
Okay, appreciate it. And
Thank
I'm
you.
going to summarize later on what I think this commission is going to do to address all the issues that I've heard here. Okay, anyone else care to speak around the dog issue? Okay. We've been addressing an issue with a dog park, so obviously, and the commission in the past had approved the construction of a facility to do a dog park, and that is still being undertaken and driven by a private group in conjunction with the commission and some staff members here and the town. As far as the other issues with all the parks, the beaches, this is just, we need to sit down and take a look at each and every beach, because I think everybody in this room will agree that whatever the rule is, it's a town ordinance, number one, so we've got to talk with the town attorneys and find out what the proper way, like Ed suggested, is that we have to address that ordinance to begin with. And then as a commission, decide what types of rules and regulations, if any, that we want to put into place, i.e., do we want to restrict hours? Do we want to allow it only in specific places and times? So that, I don't think myself as a chairman of this commission, and having met with other members of the board prior to tonight, are ready to do that kind of thing. And what I will tell you is, I will guarantee you it will be an agenda item on our next month's meeting, and we will put that down, and as a commission, prior to that and for that meeting, we will take a look at the opportunities and things we need to get done to affect change and put a rule in effect. The big thing about putting rules into effect is, from our perspective, I don't have the wherewithal to enforce it. Different at Jacobs Beach, different at Quanapog, because during the summer months, I'm staffed with gate guards and lifeguards. So we can kind of ask them, if you have an issue, notify the police department. At the other facilities, quite frankly, some of which there is no even parking available, we don't have that wherewithal. So it's an issue that we have to discuss as a commission. And I assure you, this commission will do what we think and recommend what's right to the town, for the town of Guilford, as we did down at Jacobs Beach. You know, we had a lot of concern about what was going to be done at Jacobs Beach. And I don't know if anybody here in this room is dissatisfied with what I've seen, but it's just, this is part of what I think the problem is. The beaches are being used more, and people are seeing what's available to them, and maybe that's why issues like this are now coming to light. But the main thing is, we got to decide as a commission how we want to approach it, and then address the legal issues, the ordinance, and all that other stuff that goes with it. But rest assured, it will be addressed. Anybody else have any comments on the commission?
No.
Anybody else? Next up. Where was I?
Girl Scout.
Girl Scout proposal. This way we can let this. This has got to do with also new business 7A, okay? I moved it up on the agenda, I changed the agenda. So unless you want to sit around and hear a couple of presentations about where we're going with, and the regular normal part of the business meeting, feel free. And
Actually, you can watch it in your jammies at home.
please. Could you get that to Rick, and then he'll take care of getting it to all the commissioners?
Yeah, we already have it. We already have it. We already have this.
Do you want to keep
I
it?
said, I'm sorry.
You want to keep it?
I
Yeah.
have a copy.
Okay.
Thank you all.
You're welcome, thank you.
Emma? It's Emma, right?
Emma Rand, I'm sorry, I apologize.
Hello.
Floor is yours.
Okay. Hello, my name is Emma Rand, and I'm a Girl Scout in Troop 62303. I am 14 years old and I'm a freshman in high school this year. Last year, my fellow troop members and I completed the Silver Award. We successfully installed a flagpole at St. James Hollow, the retirement home, to honor our veterans that live there. Now I am working to complete my Gold Award. The Gold Award is the highest achievement earned by a senior or ambassador Girl Scout. It's equivalent to what a Boy Scout Eagle Award is. The Girl Scout Gold Award must be a lasting impact on your community, and it helps young adults embrace leadership and self-confidence. I know the Park and Rec helped my former troop member, Megan Vanacore, complete her Gold Award, and I'm hoping that you can do the same for me. I've enjoyed growing up in this beautiful town of Guilford, and I'd like to make my mark on it. My Gold Award idea is to install little free libraries around Guilford to enforce the love of reading. In Connecticut, there are 169 towns, and only 8 of them have little free libraries. I got this idea of the little free libraries on my trip to Ireland. Throughout the parks, there were boxes full of books. The little free libraries were well managed and had all up-to-date books. I thought installing little free libraries in Guilford would be a major asset to the town of Guilford. The little free libraries are a take-a-book, return-a-book at gathering places in town where people can share their favorite literature and stories. A simple explanation of a Little Free Library is a small waterproof box with a glass door and books where anybody can stop by and pick one up and bring back another one. In 2009, Todd Bull built a model of a schoolhouse in honor of his mother, a school teacher. He filled it with his favorite books and put on a post and wrote free books. Everybody that walked by loved it and went home and built one of their own, and that was the start of the Little Free Libraries. I think that the Little Free Libraries in Guilford should be shaped like a salt box to tie in the historic feel and be painted to match the destination that they are in. These libraries will promote reading to all ages in various destinations in Guilford. The Little Free Libraries will help the public get convenient books and literacy all around Guilford. I am thinking of 3 places to put the Little Free Libraries. The places are Jacobs Beach, Lake Quannapock, and Chaffinch Island. I feel that these places the libraries will be very useful. I want to complete this project because I want to promote literature and the love of reading and build a sense of community and sharing of reading, creativity, and wisdom throughout Guilford. My project will be to get funding for and establish the Little Free Libraries in the 3 sites that I have suggested. My Girl Scout troop and I have committed maintaining the Little Free Libraries while we are still in high school. I'm not looking for money from Park and Rec. I'm hoping that after I graduate in 2018, that is successful and beneficial, that you will consider taking some responsibility on upkeeping libraries. This would involve nothing more than a monthly check on the boxes. In conclusion, I'd like to thank you for listening to my proposal, and I hope that you believe the Little Free Libraries would be a great addition to Guilford.
Thank you very much. Any questions from any of the commission members? Jack?
Emma, did you say you got the idea in Ireland or Iowa?
Ireland.
Ireland?
Yes.
And Ireland.
He just got his vote.
And so you'll maintain these until you graduate?
Yeah. I will maintain them with my Girl Scout troop.
Will they be adult books, children's books, or a combination?
A combination of all.
And anybody can, take something and then maybe put something back of their own?
Yeah, you can take one when you get there, and if you don't have something to put back at the time, when you come back the next time, we hope that you put something back of your favorite literature to help share with other people.
I have 2 little granddaughters. One is going to be 3 and the other is going to be 1. And I think when they get old enough, they'll know how proud they are of you for doing something like this in Guilford. And they'll probably try to do something similar to yours, because I would hope they would be members of the Girl Scouts. Their father was a member of the Boy Scouts in Madison, but so you probably will have inspired them in 10 years maybe. So that you can look back and say, you helped inspire 2 other Girl Scouts to do their projects. Thank you.
Anyone else?
I wondered about picking 2 places where the traffic was heavy in the summer, but not so heavy other times. Although Jacobs is used year-round, people go down there and have their lunch, look out at the water. But I'm not so sure about Lake Quannapock. It seems very closed up after the season is over.
I was thinking Bittner might be even
Yeah.
Or where one of the
Okay, place
walking
for it.
trails is? I mean, do we
Well,
have a restriction over that?
Yeah, and other opportunities might be, eventually, they're gonna be building a kiosk out here, right?
Yeah, that would be a good spot for
That
it.
would be great.
So,
That's
I
right.
th- what I'm hearing, and I'd like to suggest at this point in time, is that everyone on the commission appreciates the opportunity that you're presenting to us. That from a manpower and a resource perspective, it's not going to impact on anything we do for the next couple of years. It might be something we have to address in the future. The only issues we might have is location. And I don't know if you want to coordinate it, Rick, or another member of the commission may want to work as you progress along.
I'm willing to do it, that's fine.
Sue, and Sue will be her contact. I'm sorry, Barbara.
No, that's all right. No, I have
No, I was just,
Yep.
yep.
I wondered if you had any contact with the library as part of this project.
I was thinking for when I was going to get refilling the books each year, I was going to help get a younger Girl Scout troop in for their bronze award, and that would be having a book sale and raising the books and And then I was also going to talk to the Friends of the Library and see if before or after their book sale they could donate the extra books.
Okay, good, and also maybe Friends of the Library is a very active volunteer group, maybe they would be willing to be oversight to the,
Oversee it.
looking at the, looking after the free library boxes.
John?
Now, I know the Boy Scouts have a deadline with their Eagle projects. They have to have it completed by the time they're 18. Do you have a set deadline as to when your project needs to be completed and approved by Girl Scouts?
It has to be full up and running before I graduate senior year.
Before you graduate senior year? Okay.
So same thing, 18, 17.
8, 17, 18. So we have a little bit of time there.
So do you need a motion or?
Uh,
Not really.
I think, yeah, as you want to make a motion that we support the
Yeah,
agreement, and the
certainly
only
make a
thing left to
motion
be, the only decision we really have to make is locale.
Well, that's what, I would make the motion that we let Emma go ahead with this. I think it's a great idea. And with the understanding that Suzanne will work with her in terms of figuring out where they will go.
I'll second that.
Are you okay with this? I mean, I didn't give you a
All
chance to
I spoke
speak.
was Suzanne too about location. Yeah.
Got to meet the man in charge. He runs the department on a daily basis.
Location.
All righty, we will,
Vote.
somehow or other, you,
Get a motion
you-
in a second.
oh, I'm sorry.
It was seconded, we need to vote.
Never been much for protocol. Right, Jim?
Really?
Okay, okay, Mr. Roberts, got it. Do I have a second to the motion?
We have
Jack
We have Jack.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Unanimous, so you
Thank
can
you.
work out some
Thank you,
arrangements
Emma.
with Ms.
Nice
Jacob.
job.
Thank you.
Good job, Emma.
Have a great year.
Good presentation.
Here's my email on.
That's why they're removing me. Next up, Jim Scott, talking a little bit about the robotics program, robotics team in town, formerly known, or still known as Apple Pie.
Apple Pie Robotics.
Okay, and some thoughts and ideas, and we've talked about, with respect to Jim's project, where we as a commission or as a department might be able to help, along with not just the physical location of, because there are a lot of things we all know going on with town, with space and everything else. So I thought it would be appropriate that Jim called me and he would make a quick presentation on what the intention of the group is and what they're looking for. And then I'll have Rick chime in a little bit, because one of the things I suggested to Rick was, to Jim, was that he have a conversation with the town about the proposed use of the new science building and what they were gonna do with all that square footage. So I'll let you go, Jim.
Thank you. Thank the Commission for making some time for me here today. Again, I'm Jim Scott, 45 Christmas Hill Road, for the record. And I'm here as a representative of Apple Pie Robotics. That is a team that is now entering its 9th season, serving students within the town. I'd like to first tell you just a little bit about the team. Some of you may know, others may have heard of us but don't really know how we operate. And then secondly, get into the challenges that we face, and that is, as Ralph alluded, something that perhaps the Parks and Recs Commission can help us with as we move forward. So first off, Rick has left the room, but I wanted to offer thanks to him and his group because he's already touching part of our group. The FLL team, which is for students 4th through 8th grade, have been using the center right here for some of their regular meetings. They meet once a week, and Rick and his staff have made provisions for them to use this facility for that. That's a very fast-growing group within our total umbrella. We now have 4 teams involved in working through robotics challenges at that level. I'm here as a representative of the group that is part of that FIRST Robotics organization, and we handle students from freshman to senior year of high school. We do this, first off, the basic mission of FIRST and FIRST Robotics is to inspire kids students to be active in science, math, and technology, and to inspire to seek jobs and careers in that segment, which I think we all recognize as being something that's very important and place for growth, something that we all need to solve the problems of the world and our communities going forward. So we think it's a good thing. It is run primarily by engineers. We're not teachers by trade. We mentor the students as we work through these challenges. The challenge being to build a robot to play a game. It's a fun thing. They get to evaluate a game in January, and over the next 6 weeks, figure out how to build and design and implement a robot to play that game, strategically with 3 other robots as partners. So it's pretty challenging event. Now, where are we today? As I said, we're in our 9th season. The team started out 8 years ago with a group of about 10 students, 3 or 4 mentors, and that's where the team began. Today we service 45 students. We have 16 mentors, and we've outgrown just about every meeting facility in town. When we get everybody together in one place for just standard meetings where we can sit down and either do educational work or just have team logistics meetings, we have to meet at the EMS Center. It's the only facility in town that is readily available to us that we can use for that purpose. When we're building the robot, we actually use a mentor's house. We have a mentor who has essentially a 4-car garage. When he backs his cars out, he also has in the back area of the garage a machine shop. And so we have access to all of his power tools, power equipment. We keep all of our equipment there. Down the center of the garage, we set up tables, and we work consistently for a 6-week period in that endeavor to build a robot. That activity is basically run about 7 days a week. We schedule 5. We usually work 7. During the week, it's an evening session, typically between 5 and 8:30. On weekends, it goes late. We start around 9 in the morning, and we'll typically work till 6 at night. Typically now, with that many students, we've been working in 2 shifts. So we have divided it up so that a portion of the students come in the morning or first shift in the evening, and another group comes in later. So we've done everything we can to service that community with the resources we have. This year, we graduated 6 seniors. They are all going on to engineering school or science curriculums in college. Right now, we're sitting on about 23 new recruits. So where we thought we had 45 last year and we're busy and crowded, we're probably going to be in the mid-50s this year, plus 16 mentors working with them. So the facilities have become small. They seem small now. They were large a couple of years ago, but I think we've run out of space. I would tell you that as a group, we've been evaluating the situation. And by the way, I should say we are 100% privately funded as an organization. We run a budget of any place between $20,000 and $30,000 a year. And we're funded by various corporations and individuals. So that's where our funding comes from. To address the crowding issue, we've been looking at renting space in town. But frankly, that's something we can do for short term, but it's not something that will allow us to continue the program forever in that manner. We also looked at the possibility of perhaps building a facility. I'll just offer this as an example of something that we've considered. Now, as Ralph and I talked a couple of weeks ago, I became aware of the fact that perhaps the Touchdown Club or the Football Boosters Association had put a facility on a town piece of property. And that idea, from our perspective, had some positive features to be able to do that because, in fact, we could afford to build a facility. We can't afford the land in Guilford. That's just one of the realities of it. So we've looked at that. That's an aggressive plan. A facility like that could potentially house all of our teams, the young students as well as the upper level students. That was just one idea. Now I understand there may be other facilities in town that are available or may become available over the next couple of years. I already last winter talked with our selectmen about the use of a Guilford facility or the potential use of that facility for practice sessions for the robot. At that time, we weren't really looking for a place to build the robot, just a place to take it to exercise it. And of course, the high school gym is where most people would like to take it to, but believe it or not, you have a lot of rec things going on at the gym.
Unless we can get in there.
Yeah, it's difficult. It's booked almost continuously, and so we were able to get a couple of sessions there. But I evaluated a couple of other town-owned facilities, and they really didn't have the ceiling height to accomplish anything for us. Talked with the fire department, the EMS building. They're full of rigs down there, so they don't have a lot of room either. So at any rate, that's what I'm throwing open to you folks, that we are looking for some room and facility that could potentially house, I'm going to say, light manufacturing. It's not a big project, but there's machine tools, small machinery.
Fair enough.
And so I'd call it light manufacturing and meeting space. So I appreciate you taking the time for us tonight.
I also pointed him to the town, and you did have a conversation with the principal at the high school
Yes, I
with
did.
respect to the science building. And there's a reason why, at that point in time, I thought it might be good to have Jim here, because there were rumors about supposedly us taking over that science building, and we'll get into that after Jim can summarize what happened with him and the principal.
Well, in summary, we did meet and talk about that facility. I was told that the facility would be town-owned, and that it would appear that the school superintendent and his staff may be going to use that facility. At least that's the way it was presented to me. And perhaps the bottom floor may be taken up by storage. But it appeared to me that as a possible residence for us would be an absolute ideal facility. The proximity to the school, the ability to have students after school go directly to a workshop that is an adjunct to the school, that really has some benefits for us. And some of you may be asking, well, why aren't we allied with the school? Why aren't we part of the school? And before you ask the question, I'll give you the answer. There are a number of reasons. The organization started out as part of the school system in the first couple of years. But when it really came down to how the program, what the things we needed to do as an organization to move the program forward, we had sort of our hands tied by school policies, and policies such as needing a school teacher with us at every meeting we had. I just described to you what our meeting schedule is like. I was hard pressed to find anybody who would volunteer that kind of time commitment to doing this. We have multiple mentors working behind the scenes to get that kind of time frame moving. It was unreal to have a hired school person put in those kinds of hours to support our program. So that's just one of the things, but also we can deliver more value for less dollars. We don't have to move students around in buses. We can carpool. So we're part of 4-H, and I didn't mention that, but we're a 4-H team. We have our liability insurance through 4-H and are managed through them. We work closely with the high school. Mr. Messeni has been great to work with. He affords us the opportunity to come in and recruit during freshman orientation nights. So we have a working relationship with the high school, but we're not managed by the high school.
Okay, what I'm gonna do now is we had an agenda item on. We've heard your presentation, and just to give the commission the full picture, because I kind of was dealing in the vacuum between you and Rick and everything else. You'll let Rick give the status on, what is item number, 7C, the Guilford High School Science Wing. What we're hearing, and we're being told, that our responsibilities in conjunction with what that building may or may not be over the next couple of years, and what our involvement might be. So I'm gonna,
Ralph, before we get into that, I just have one question.
Sure.
Yeah, I did too.
Is there an existing robotics club at the high school?
No.
Okay, I know you mentioned
They
there's one
have
for middle
they have
school.
an academic curriculum that I think a couple of years ago built some sort of an underwater
Okay.
robot, but it's not, this is part of the first robotics organization, and a national organization. In our area, there's about 2,000 plus teams worldwide. Most are in the United States.
Yeah, so you wouldn't be in conflict with,
Oh, I don't think so.
okay.
No,
Is this
they-
when did Al Bishop start this in Guilford?
That's correct.
Yeah.
Al was
That's
the
the-
creator
Yeah.
and founder of it 9 years ago.
that's why it's happening.
So basically, you're looking for us to keep our eyes and ears open for a facility that you could use for this 6-week period?
Well, it's,
Or-
that's a good question. It's a 6
I know you
week-
said you
that-
met for about 6 weeks.
That's
during
the intensive period,
Okay.
where we beat ourselves up 5 to 7 days a week. We also, we run the program year-round.
Okay.
We don't meet that way, though, to that kind of an extent. Typically, 1 or 2 days a week, we meet all during the year.
And you would need something that would house 50 to 60, you'd get together as a group, not
Yeah,
in teams. So
to-
you
to-
need something.
To give you a feel for what this is, and it's a little larger than the facility we use today, but 900 square feet is what we use for shop space. This facility has about that on the ground floor. It has another 900 square feet on the upper floor. So that would accommodate meeting rooms, small assemblies, learning seminars. Yes?
That actually was one of my questions here. What is your minimum square footage that you're seeking? And you talk about clear ceiling height, how high do you have to go?
Yeah, that's for practicing,
Right.
exercising the robot. Typically, we're looking for somewhere between 10 and 12 feet.
Okay.
So a small gym, a high bay garage.
And 1,800, I'm sorry, 1,800 square feet?
That's a stretch, but, roughly. 900 is where we are today.
Rick, do you happen to remember how big the football building is down there, square foot wise? Because that's similar to what I'm looking at there. They got their equipment downstairs and their meeting rooms upstairs.
I think it's smaller than that, but I'm not sure of the exact dimensions. Are you meeting now at the fire department and you're outgrowing that space?
No. Where we meet today is we're still using this Mentor's facility. From a construction standpoint, our meetings will vary. We use rooms at the high school. Most of our meetings are sub-meetings, so some subsection meetings. So it's only a portion of the students going to those. Same thing for mentors. And when we do have to pull everybody together for a general meeting, the EMS center is what we have used, their training facility. And they've been very, very responsive in working with us. But
So I'm thinking, in the short term, we could try to work out meeting space here, I mean, the place, as you know, is used a lot, but if you run out of room there, I mean, you could just contact us and let us know the dates, times that you need, and we could see if there's any way, we have a room here that you could come. We don't have a space here to build your intensive time, but I'm just talking about for your weekly or monthly meetings, or we can try to
the
help
meetings have
almost
not
immediately with
been
that.
too much
So
of an
from
issue.
right now,
It's really
you're
the
okay with it.
manufacturing thing is where
Yeah.
our future challenges
So
are.
that brings us to the high school.
Well, yeah, not, if you could just fill the commission in, and then, we'll let Jim know where we are. And again, like we did before with the Girl Scout before, establish some contact. But fill us all in, so they're privy to the information that you've heard about what that space is gonna be used for. Jim, thanks. And we'll get a contact for you before it's, if you wanna go, I'll either get back to you or Rick will get back to you. Okay.
I don't know if I have any big information, because I've been to one meeting like 6 months ago, which I think I probably might have reported on that, but I just sent an email to Cliff Gurnham to, if there's something come up, let us know so we can be at the meeting. But my understanding is that they'll want us to take over that building probably, I think I'm hearing June of 2015. It would come under Parks and Rec jurisdiction. I don't know what the plans are for it yet, but any of the development or repairs or whatever has to be done, renovations, I think the school system is doing. And I know they've talked about weight rooms are going to be in there, and that if the high school would have to schedule through us to use the weight room for their football team, soccer team, whatever.
I'm not following.
What's that?
I'm not following at all. So the weight rooms are going to be in the science?
The science building is going to be, it's the wing of the school that they're going to hold on to when they demolish the rest of the school, for a lot of reasons. One of them is that's where the bathrooms are to service the games on the football field, for
Right.
example. You know, quite frankly, I haven't been in there since my kids were in school, so I don't even know what that part looks like in there. But I think, as Jim mentioned, they were talking about storage there. The current weight room is in a portable building near the football field. That's getting torn down. I think the plan is to move all that into this building. And so the plan would be, they're asking us to schedule that, just like we schedule parks or this building. If people want to use it, even the school system, if they want to use it for something, they have to schedule it through us to schedule their time for their high school football team, weightlifting practice or whatever. I don't know what else is in there. I don't know what the rest of the plans are for it. I don't know the square footage of it. You know, at some point, I hope they're going to have a meeting and we can go and find out.
If they're gonna, if they're going to bring the wrestling equipment and the weight room equipment in there, whoever's in charge of that building is gonna have to knock down walls, because it's classroom situated, and there's no big space.
I think that would be part of the
So
plan.
if it became Park and Rec's responsibility, would we have to pay for it, et cetera, et cetera?
I think, my understanding, and again, I went to one meeting that I heard, when I first heard that we were going to be taking this over, that any renovations to it are going to be done outside of our budget.
Because at this point, I've heard there's no electricity, nothing in there, in the science wing, or when they shut it down.
Oh.
Not now, they're using it.
Is science wing a misnomer for it? It sounds.
It's what it's called.
Yes.
It's what it's called, okay.
Yeah, but if you went in there, you would see it's a lot of labs up on the floor.
Okay.
There were showering facilities and the ability to handle spilled chemicals and that kind of stuff.
So it's the newest building of
Yes.
the old building.
Yeah.
I think I'm confused, why is it becoming why is the request for it to become part of
Well,
Park and Rec versus?
I'm gonna cut the discussion short,
Okay.
okay? Here's the reason why. I wanted Rick to bring it up so Jim knows where we are. And this is critical. If they're talking 2015, we need some answers for me to do a
Yeah.
budget. Every single question that everyone has asked here. Maintenance, who's gonna do the reconstruction? Who's gonna be responsible? Who's gonna be at that facility from 7 o'clock in the morning till 10 o'clock at night? What are they gonna do on weekends when there's softball games, basketball games, football games? Oh, we're gonna have to, it's a staffing issue, it's a whole thing. And if it is true that we're gonna take it
It needs to go in
over,
our budget.
then we gotta know about that before we do our budget process in the
We're
next
going to
couple of
start that
months.
budget process in a month or so.
That's right, that's why I'm saying, we've
For
gotta push these
215,
guys for some
16.
answers.
And why isn't it staying within the Board of Ed versus
Go ahead,
under
Barbara, I'm sorry.
town?
For the grant, it would exceed the amount of square footage for the percentage of the grant that we were given by the state, huh? And you cannot be used for anything associated. Now, if it's a weight room, see, the theory I heard is that
What
they.
about the weight room? That doesn't.
Well, the weight room, no, they were gonna say
Well, you know
Park Rec's room, and that's why they want us to schedule it. They'll pull the wool over people.
But I think we should not, I think we should, before we worry about all of that,
Yeah,
I
we
think we
need-
need to first find out if in fact this
Absolutely.
is going to be turned over to Park and Rec.
Go ahead,
Let's
Barbara.
not get ahead of ourselves.
I've cut you off twice already.
know you
Give
have.
me one more strike.
Well, I'd like to go on
Protocol.
record again, as I did the last time this came up, that we as a commission are empowered to decide what buildings we take over depending on our budget. So I want to go on record as saying, I would not vote yes until these questions are answered, and I hope the
Yes.
rest of you feel the
I
same
feel
way.
the same way.
Absolutely.
I think we have a lot of questions.
We have a
that
lot of
need
questions that
answered.
need,
Is there a plan for us to meet with
I haven't, I sent an
a
email
group that would
a week or
be-
two ago, I haven't heard anything
Oh,
back.
our budget
Contacting
meeting,
you so
7C. Yeah, well, I'm waiting on a date to set that
We
when
could
he
get
gets
these
back from them.
questions answered? Because I
The
think we have
minimum
a
an
lot of,
on-site visit to it.
yeah,
Yeah.
we have a lot of
Minimum.
questions that need to be done, especially in light of our timeline.
Right.
Okay. I think that'll suffice for the time being. Rick, I think you got 2 action items. We gotta, you know, we want to do number 1, a site visit, and number 2, we got to be able to sit down with somebody and ask the right questions in preparation for our preparation of our 2015-16 budget.
Yeah.
And decision. in
And
terms of
decision about-
The first question is,
Do we take
what's,
it over?
right,
Mm-hmm,
everything flows from that question.
that's right.
Yeah.
We need to make a decision if, in fact, we want to take it over.
Thank you. Okay?
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Terry?
You got 3 minutes here, because you have to be somewhere else, right?
Isn't a pressure. I primarily just wanted to fill you guys in on an activity, I don't know if poster, I don't know if this can go onto the TV, about a public event. Detective Jacober at the police department and I have met several times. Detective Jacober has come and spoken to the seniors on numerous occasions about primarily fraud type of issues. There's a lot of problems, even in Guilford, with scams, fraud, that type of issue, primarily aimed at senior citizens because they sometimes can be a little more vulnerable, more trusting, and there really have been instances, believe it or not, of people going and trying to get $2,000 Western Union checks to send to different places. And so we've made an effort to educate the seniors. They've come and spoken, the police have come and spoken to seniors at lunch several times. But what we were discussing is there's really a need for the community as a whole and also the adult children of seniors to understand what some of these problems and issues are because, you know, they're sometimes it's hard for them to turn to their family because they're embarrassed because maybe they, you know, did something that people will consider that, you know, they shouldn't have done. Sometimes they're embarrassed to go to the police department. So what we wanted to do was take an opportunity to educate the public and families of seniors in addition to the seniors to try to help give them support. So we're putting together, it's going to be on September 30th here at the community center, 7 o'clock. And it's going to be the police department talking about the scams, you know, abuse type issues. Also, Webster Bank is going to send a representative to talk about financial fraud because they have experiences with this also, where somebody may come to the bank and ask for a check, and you know, they use their instinct to say, "Wait a minute, we know what is the." So they're going to come and talk about some of the instances that they've had. And since hopefully we're going to have a captive audience of people interested in senior issues, we thought it would be a good time to just educate the community as a whole and family members of seniors and seniors about what are the services that we have in Guilford, which are actually, you know, wonderful for seniors, all the way from the park and rec programs, the transportation, the meals, Meals on Wheels, the Charlie's Closet, the LA housing, you know, all the different services that we offer in Guilford, kind of a one-shot deal to educate people. So we wanted this to let people know about it, let you know about it. So,
Terry, what else are you doing to publicize this? Gonna put something on GCTV or in the papers?
oh yeah. Sir Jacoby's putting posters all over
May
town.
I also suggest?
We sent the bulletin board. They're going to do a little spot. It's on the website, the
broadcast it.
Facebook. Ellen's working on that today, so
Beat me to
we're
the punch.
we're getting it.
I wanted to.
Go ahead, suggest
If
it.
you can think of any place to put up posters, you know, let me know.
It should be broadcast, and you'll get a much bigger.
Or at least video.
When
GCTV.
Officer Jacober and Shub are doing a spot on GCTV.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
that
broadcast,
yeah, should do
Oh,
the whole
I see
session.
what you mean. Okay.
broadcast the
okay.
entire
See if you can
session.
arrange that with Shannon.
Okay, yeah, we
We'll
can.
get somebody to videotape it.
So that's why I thought I'd bring this, so that all the people that watch your meetings would at least get about, okay, I see what you mean, so arrange with Shannon to have it recorded. Yeah, we talked a little bit about that, so we'll work
Great.
on that.
What a
too.
great idea. It's
So
such a
it's
prevalent
really
problem.
becoming a big problem.
Yeah, it is.
Well, you know, as a community, you know, we need to help seniors, making some mistakes.
Thank you, Terry.
Thank you, Terry. Thank you.
Sorry we kept you so long. All right, any questions on staff and director reports? Item number 2.
Nope.
Anyone? Correspondence, do I really need to read them, or we know what it's all about with the dog parks and everything else?
Been there, done that.
Minutes, any changes?
No changes.
I move to approve the minutes.
Second?
They're not allowed, right, Kathy?
I abstain.
Second to,
I abstain.
We have to vote, we have a
Yeah.
motion, second.
second,
I did.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Passed, one abstention.
Two.
No,
Two.
three, I was not present last meeting.
Yeah. Approval of bills.
Everything.
We got that issue question about that double building, that was answered last time. What else do we have?
I move that we approve the bills, and is this it? Fine,
Yeah.
135?
Yes.
And the amount of $135,118.76.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye. Yep, that's right.
Whole business, Standing Fields Committee.
Not too much new, the same thing, we're waiting for the baseball field to be completed at the high school. And once that's done, it'll be turned over to us to start maintaining. The Baldwin Drainage Project, and Paul Schmidt has been working on the specifications for that, so we haven't gotten that yet. And then lacrosse wall at Long Hill Park, this commission approved that, I think maybe last meeting or the meeting before possibly. And I met out there Saturday with John Ireland and Larry Marsick, who did the engineering of it, of the design for the wall, in the Wetlands Commission. And I think they approved it on site. Yeah, they did. So we're basically ready to go. We have to just kind of finalize the exact location of it.
Where's it going to be?
It's going to be, if you're looking at the soccer field coming into Long Hill Park, the far left side of but a batting cage, kind of adjacent to the batting cage there. Doesn't seem to make the most sense because it's kind of, that's where the other amenities are, the batting cage is over there. And almost in line with the batting cage, but just kind of off the corner of the soccer field.
Okay.
It's going to be about 20 feet off. I've spoken with, well, of course, John Ireland was representing youth lacrosse. I've spoken with the soccer club president, too, to make sure 20 feet is adequate. If they're doing a corner kick, I want to make sure they had enough room to run up to kick the ball. And 20 feet off it's far enough off the field, so if somebody's running after a ball, it's far enough off, they shouldn't run into it.
Can your trucks get in that way, though? With the chain that goes, separates the poles?
Yeah, we're on the other side of it. We're on the other side of that. The chain is on the road side, right? If you're going by the parking lot, this is going to be on the far side of that side.
Perpendicular to the road and perpendicular to the field.
Yeah, well,
They
this is,
drop the chain when they bring in
yeah,
trucks?
but this is the opposite side of the field, by the batting cage. So we can get in there, we can get around it.
Opposite side of the field?
Yeah, but where the batting cage is, it's on the
I know
far
the
side of
batting
the soccer field. That's where this is going, like between the soccer field and that batting cage.
Yeah, I'm still asking the question, though. Yeah. Because don't you, when you come in the main gate, you take a left, you get down to the end,
Mhm.
and then they drop the chain.
Correct.
Then they take a right to get onto the field.
Correct.
And that wouldn't be in the way of the...
No.
Okay.
No.
It's further down.
It's
Yeah.
further down.
So it's closer to the batting cage?
Yes, right, almost, it's right next to it, basically.
Okay. Okay.
So, yeah, and so they originally had it like 15 feet, we pushed it back to 20 feet. I wanted it farther from that field, just to make sure. The only thing I'm waiting on is to have a call to Jake Jarvis, just to make sure from the high school perspective, that's also enough distance. And again, I want to be sure no one's going to run into that concrete wall going after a ball. I think 20 feet is probably okay, but I want to make sure that from the CIAC perspective, that's good. So I just haven't heard back from him yet on that.
How about the ground surface? What would that be? Just grass?
It's just gonna be grass, yeah. It'll get worn out, in that one spot, yeah.
I just have a quick question for you. And we've all focused on the Guilford High School baseball diamond. What about the girls' softball diamonds? When are those going to be reconstructed and be available for the school? Because I know they're still going to be using Bittner Park for
Yeah.
next season.
Probably 2 more years, I would think.
Probably 2
Yeah.
more years?
Because
Okay.
they're gonna
Just had a
go,
discussion about that today, yeah, 2 more years.
they're gonna go where all those piles are down there now, where everything's piled up.
Okay.
Where field 4 used to be, the
Right.
practice football field, or, yeah, 4. That's where the softball field's gonna go. So it's not until the high school is completed, and it gets all cleaned up, then they'll be building that down there.
Okay.
Jacobs Beach Park?
I met with Rick and Will Thompson, and we chatted about the use and amount of picnic tables. We did a little inventory. Seemed like we had some more down there that we could shift over to Chaffinch, because we were looking to put some over there. So we were moving some of the picnic tables there, and then also some of the picnic tables that we had were constructed a little too high. When you sat up, you were kind of up here. So the plan, we thought, was to take the tops off, cut down that extra, and put the top back on so that we can continue to use those. So we're going to deal with that. The bathroom walls are going to be painted shortly, and then after they're painted, then that epoxy floor can be done in the bathrooms. And we waited until the end of the season so that we weren't closing bathrooms during the season. Also, we've been working on the weed control down there, and we're making headway with that. We have a couple of our guys going down there, and they're doing a great job. So once we get the weeds out and we put down that cream to keep them from coming back, now that we've gotten ahead of them, of course it's going to get cold, but we'll be ready to keep at it, when they start to grow in the spring.
Are they gonna stain or paint that changing room that they built there too?
I think we talked about that. We weren't sure.
I think we're gonna keep it because it's cedar. I think it's to keep it natural.
Cedar and keep it natural. We kind of went back and forth. Do we make it gray to go with the cement walls? So for now, we were going to leave it. They were just finishing it. They had to fix a couple of issues with the doors, with the locks, with swelling in the wood. So.
Well, I wasn't thinking the aesthetics as much as protecting the wood from rotting or decaying or something.
Yeah, I mean, we can check with Will about if it needs some kind of coating that protects it as far as.
Yeah, I think you're saying because it's cedar that it's
it was okay to just
keep it
wear
natural.
I must say that those chairs add so much to that.
Don't they? They really do.
I never thought I'd be saying that.
It's such a small thing, but it does make a big difference.
I spent an hour sitting in the one
Yeah,
day.
so did I.
It's really great. We
You
have
wanna
3
get out,
together
comfortable.
under that tree that we
Oh, they're
preserved.
great.
We have 3 more down another tree, and then 2 in the sand, because for those who kind of wanted to be more in the sand, down as you're heading to the kayaks. So as we get more, certainly, we can just increase different
That'd be
little
great.
sitting areas. But every time I go down there, there's at least 1 or 2 people in there.
It adds a touch of class
And
to a classy beach.
But it kind of gives that, they are, and it gives it that summer kind of look,
Beachy look.
Beachy look. So I think that's it. Anybody have any questions?
If I can just add, Sue, today we had a photograph taken for the Courier. Courier photographer and reporter was there of the people who made the contributions to the chairs and benches.
Nice.
So they'll get
Oh,
that
that's great.
recognition, and we've sent thank you letters to them anyway, but most of them were there, and we invited all of them, and it was like 3 this afternoon. It was a bad hair day. The wind was blowing like crazy, and there's people's faces. They're trying to get their hair out of their faces. So I don't know how good the picture came out, but they'll get that recognition anyways. And I sent a note to the paper of all the people who donated, even if there's some that weren't there. At least they'll recognize in the paper.
I know we're talking about the flagpole, but I do want to just mention in conjunction with the flagpole that it's in. It looks great. Luke Malinowski did a wonderful job.
That looks good too.
And so it was a nice addition to the
Good.
the-
Sure was.
You didn't laugh at that.
I heard you. We're working on the stone to have the
Yeah.
plaque.
Mhm.
We haven't found the right stone, but we're working on it.
C, Eagle Scout projects.
Well, as you just heard, the flagpole is up at Jacobs Beach, and the only one still outstanding right now is the bleacher repair. I know the young man, I believe he's purchased the lumber, because I got a purchase order for him, for the company to get it. And so my guess is he probably has the lumber. He's got to probably paint them at home and then bring them and just install them when he's ready. And right now is not a great time anyway, because Little League's out there pretty actively right now. We have our softball league, so we don't want to have, we want the benches, bleachers to be there for people to sit on right now. So he's working on it.
6D, Dog Park.
The subcommittee of, 2 of the ladies in the committee met with John Cunningham. He's going to help him with creating a site plan to go to Planning and Zoning and Wetlands Commission. And so he went down there, I think last week with them, and I had suggested I've spoken with Kevin McGee also, the town must have a map. There's got to be a map somewhere with Peddler's Park. So all they have to do is take the sort of the dimensions of what they want the dog park to be, kind of fill it in on the map and I think that'd be sufficient to bring it to planning and zoning, so they know approximately where it's gonna go. So it's in their hands right now, and,
Have you worked out the issue of the stony areas so that you can mow? I know that was something that.
no,
we tried to
that's one thing
figure
we
out.
talked about, is they gotta figure out, they haven't decided what the surface is gonna be yet, but the weeds, I had one of our guys was down there doing, getting some topsoil, and I asked him to take a picture and send back to me. I should have sent it to you or brought it up because I have it. But, I mean, the weeds are this high.
Yeah.
Wow.
And,
Doris.
so, you know, they noticed something's gotta be done to, you know, we're not gonna be able to get in there and mow it, because it's very uneven ground and rocks and things like that, so I don't think they've worked that out yet, but they're working, John Cunningham is at this point voluntarily working with them to help come up with a plan.
That's nice of them. Rick, if, when they have the plan that John Cunningham helps them and they're ready to go to planning and zoning, I recommend that they meet with Reggie Reed. She's very helpful when you're preparing.
Yeah, good idea, yeah.
Good idea.
Last item, 7C, budget meeting with staff. I'm going to make a suggestion. What's the first Monday in October?
I'll tell you.
6th.
6th? So, and then we're going to try and get some information with respect to the town for what's going to go on with the science building. So sometime mid-October, the week of the 13th, the week of the 20th, anybody have a preference and what day? Look at your calendars.
Well, Columbus Day is the 13th.
Okay, so that leaves that Monday out. Want to do the 20th on a Monday? Is that okay, or we want to do it beforehand?
No, the 20th is good.
October 20th at 6:30,
I'll be away from the 9th to the 6th.
same as our meeting, or earlier?
Yeah, whatever. I'm open to
It doesn't
suggestions.
matter, I'm just throwing it out there.
A little earlier, maybe?
Yeah.
Well, for the staff, I mean, because they, then
Oh, that's
otherwise
right, yeah,
they have to hang around. We've always done
Oh,
it
yeah.
right after
Regular,
their work day.
Yeah, so,
That's true.
Right?
yeah,
Yeah.
So you tell us what time, Rick?
I don't think, I mean,
4:30,
staff,
just
it's
4:30.
4:30, yeah.
Let's do 4:30.
4:30, October 20th.
John, is that okay with you?
I'll have to double check my calendar when I get home.
Okay.
I won't be here, but I'm sure Rick can get somebody else to take notes. I'll be late, because they don't have to be detailed budget workshops.
I want to make it 5, just to give, I don't know, it doesn't matter.
If we start.
You know what,
if-
as people can come in, they can come in, but I'd hate to keep.
Yeah,
staff
the only thing I
waiting.
would ask that we have, and we'll have a regular business meeting before then, is the staff, their thoughts, and whatever capital requests we might have for equipment or major changes. Other than that, we're gonna have to wait till we get the standard budget line. We could assume a certain percentage increase, and we'll go from there. Shouldn't be that long, unless we get information about this thing. Just hoping they tell us to go away, don't worry about it.
Bless you. So
Close your eyes.
so Rick, before we talk, going back to the dog ordinance on the beach, I think, are you definitely going to check with the town and make sure that that is in fact a town beach and not a private beach? I mean, that sort of.
Well, I
is
think the deed says it is, what I handed out.
Yes, I know, but what does Ed Meyer have that says it's not? So I think we need to look into that
Well,
before we
this
go worry
deed
about
is,
anything
it's, you know, it's
else.
very, legal terms and all that, and in fact, I was kidding with Pam Millington this morning, about 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5 paragraphs down. It talks about, it says, to have their own proper use and behoof. So behoof, so does that mean you do allow horses? You know.
Yeah, there you go.
Anyway, I got about the same reaction from her I just got here. But it's a legal document, and it shows that it's, the town took it over, and the second page.
Well,
was
maybe somebody
19.
should request the document that Ed has.
I was gonna-
and
Exactly, have the-
If we have it, can he leave it with us?
It's his deed.
No, but I'm sure he can get us
It's
a
the deed
copy.
to his house,
We should get a
410
copy of
Mulberry.
that and have Pam take a look at it.
I would
Yeah.
think the tax assessor's office would be the first place to start. If they're not issuing a tax bill for that property, then
That's true.
Well,
it's
Well, it
not
could be an
private.
oversight. I mean,
property
I
is
think
not
that's
private.
where we do need, but I guess my point is, I think that's where we need to go first before we start worrying about what we're going to do about the ordinance. Let's make sure it is in fact town property that we have to take care of.
Well, the last page of the deed, I mean, it's the card that
Legal to me.
Selectman's office gave me. It says owner, Town of Guilford, Daniel Ave.
Yeah.
And it was dated 10/17/97.
You know, regardless
Just
of
after
the
his purchase.
legalities or the illegalities, regardless of the legalities or the illegalities, that situation cries out for reconciliation. Otherwise, it's gonna be much too polarizing.
Oh.
There's gotta be a way of accommodating both sides, if you'll call it that.
And you know what, I left because I thought I printed out another letter, but I think I emailed it to all you, probably didn't get it. But the Service-
I got it, the email, yeah.
There was the opposite issue there, where they're complaining about dogs
Right.
running loose out there, and as I said in the email, I don't know how we enforce that. I mean, I'd be willing to, I've talked to that woman, several times, about the issues there, I think we put a sign up, you know, dogs on leash and, you know, all that. And we didn't put doggy hot bags out there, but how do we enforce that? I mean, it's not.
We gotta get out of this, how do we enforce it? We don't enforce
Or how does somebody
anything.
enforce it, yeah. Right, you're right, it's a town
I think making
ordinance.
a designated beach or whatever, I don't think that's a good idea, because then we'll have 2 dog parks in town,
Yeah.
you know, essentially.
Well, that's
For
why I
different
brought up the
purposes,
dog park
though.
before. I mean, there's a lot on the plate with relevant to dogs. Now, I'm a dog owner, dog lover. You know, where we got places where we can control it during the prime season, like we do at Quanah and Jake, maybe we need a different set of rules, you know, for the different locations, or a time frame. Where it's 2 minutes. I don't know, I'm not gonna, first of all, the ordinance has to be changed. If we wanna play the game right.
Not necessarily, there's a provision in the charter that says we can make a designated area to get around the no animal.
Right.
And so that's a possibility that we could
Yeah.
do. I
Another
agree with
alternative.
Jeff, we need to follow every avenue so that whatever we do decide is backed with facts, because it will be a very polarizing.
Oh,
I mean,
absolutely.
because I've lived there overlooking Daniel Avenue Beach, or what they call Back Beach or Dog Beach, for 35 years. And the people that live all down Mulberry Point Road and all over Indian Cove take their dogs there, throw the ball out in the water to their dogs. 300 people will be affected. Not that there's 300 dogs on the beach at any one time, but there's at least that many people who are concerned, who will be concerned.
Maybe a
So
middle
we
ground
wanna-
is
About
all
the same amount as Jacobs Beach.
What's that?
Yeah.
The same amount of people are
Right.
concerned at Jacobs Beach.
Yeah.
Right.
Barbara, you know, I did bring that point up to Pam, about the other part that says, you know, we could designate a spot. But I believe she said, because I don't want to get into legal terms, I don't know how this works, but I thought she said because there are 2 other locations where it clearly states, you know, pets are prohibited on beaches. That it's almost like those supersede the other one, because I asked that specific question, does that give the commission
Right.
authority to maybe?
Well, then we gotta get all the answers
Yeah.
before
That's
we
one
make
of the
any
answers we have
decisions.
to get,
Yeah.
yes.
And
But
I
it
think
comes
we have-
down,
I think we have to also look at the health ramifications.
Call on Judy, will you?
Also.
Call on Judy.
Go ahead, Jude.
no,
Judy?
I was just gonna say, it comes back into when they wanted to serve alcohol at the Gateway, whatever, and the rules were no alcohol in the parks. It's like, if there's no dogs on the beach, then that should follow through. You're gonna start making one exception here, people are gonna expect you to make other exceptions. I don't know, it's just like a rule's, I guess I'm too strict, but a rule's a rule, and then we start changing here, there.
Well, we're
Do you,
having-
do you
Well-
understand what I'm?
Well, for the sake of consistency then, perhaps the Daniels Avenue Beach should have handicap access, which it does not have. And there are a whole host of other things that are inconsistent with Jacobs Beach, which Daniels doesn't have.
Parking for one.
Supervision?
Parking is one,
Supervision.
accessibility to the beach for those who are handicapped or not.
Staff during the prime season.
Someone to collect tickets as they do at Jacobs Beach. So I'm saying that's why there can be an accommodation if
Right.
both sides want that.
Yeah, and I think there's a compromise somewhere along the line, not necessarily
If folks
I
want
don't put them in the same ballpark as the alcohol personally. But a lot of this depends on what happens with the dog park too. And I'm not saying it would become a mute issue, but it might be less of an issue. I wonder if it would have been an issue at all if we hadn't posted the signs.
Exactly.
It probably wouldn't have been.
It wouldn't have
Do you
even
think those
become an
people would
issue.
have been here tonight?
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I think
on
we
that
still need to
alcohol
resolve
issue-
whether or not it's
Yeah.
our beach, but.
Just
But
some-
yeah, I agree with you on that, but I think posting a sign, dogs allowed here, it's like, oh, we can go to the dog beach, you know,
Right.
and we can go to the dog park. I mean, it's like, then the whole park, or the whole
Right.
Parks and Rec department's run by dogs, so, you know.
Get some thought.
We have a lot of avenues we need to discuss.
Right.
We also have ordinances in place, so for now, the ordinance is no dogs on the beach, and then it's going to be on the agenda item next month, so.
Yep, we'll make sure it's a discussion item next month.
So we
and-
can
What
really have
additional
a
information do
educated
we need to
discussion.
get?
Well, I'd like to get clarification on, we've got, question number one is, we've got ordinances or rules on the books in the charter that don't exactly say the same thing. What is the overriding or superseding
Authority.
rule, okay?
Unfortunately, that's what courts are for, and people don't resolve.
Well, that's why we
the
have a town attorney too, I mean, right?
differences who represents the town.
Yeah, so I would get that, that's the answer number one, as far as the dog park is
You know, on the
concerned.
issue of alcohol, I think you'll be happy to know that our town golf course, the Guilford Golf Course, is going to be hosting an event by a men's club from
They
St.
did.
George,
They
golf
did.
tournament,
Did it.
and the town is going to allow them to have beer and wine. I know it's not the Parks and Recreation Department.
For now,
Motion to adjourn?
did you hear me?
I did hear you, but I don't think I understand what you're saying.
Motion to adjourn?
Make it.
Motion to adjourn?
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned at
Rick,
7:43
I think what we need
PM.
is a clarification